Welcome back to the Gravel Gospel. I am Bionic Leg. So, as I said in the first two videos, we're going to cover Old and New Testament. We're going to break them down, tell it as a story, give you the footnotes. Hey, this is generally what's going on. I told you I'd give you references, and here we go. And I'll have them down in the bottom of the description. But and I also told you that we wouldn't jump around, but there are some key points that I think are very, very important for our references. So this video, we're covering Genesis chapter 1. We'll just cover Genesis chapter 1, and then we'll move on. For their videos, we'll go on from there. Okay. Something very important to note. So first verse we're going to hit, John 1:1. I think that's extremely important because that sets the stage for everything. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. That phrase, Word. Hold on to that. The Word was with God and the Word was God. That's pretty dope. God uses being and I said it before, the ultimate creator, created everything. The ultimate painter. He's an artist. He's a musician. He's a wordsmith. He's a mechanic, an engineer. Dope. He created everything. So by nature, because he is the creator of all things, he would be the ultimate art, the ultimate teacher. Those are just facets of who he is. So think, you would, of dark. You go into a room, think about it like this. You go into your room and you're asleep, it's 2 in the morning, or whenever you sleep, lights are all off, can't see nothing. Absolutely pitch black. You walk over, you stumble in the room, and you throw on the light switch. Now you can see. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void. Darkness was at the face of the deep. God's spirit was hovering over the face of the water. And God said, "Let there be light." I like the analogy of the Big Bang. Which, why not? Why not use that to create all things? God said, "Let there be light," and bang, there it was. Flip the switch, and there's light. Now, I want to pause there for a moment. When we get into the fall of Adam, okay, the fall of mankind, we've got the serpent. And I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but an interesting thing, being that God created everything, He created light, and it references a lot in the beginning. Okay, because I have heard it said, it's like, well, what was before the beginning? Well, was God there? What was before that? Can God create a rock so big that he can't move? Interesting questions to ask, but I want to posit this. If God created all things, it would make sense to me that God is outside of space and time, being that he is omnipresent, he is everywhere at once, he is omniscient, he is all-knowing, he is all-powerful. Why would it not make sense that he is outside of time and space? Which is why he could be everywhere at once. As I am recording this video, he is. I mean, that's so stinking cool. It's a really interesting. I mean, just think of our advancements into science, quantum mechanics, quantum physics, theoretical physics. That's really interesting. Okay, so with all that being said, with the fall of Satan, okay, so that's a very important point that I think we need to kind of address here for a minute. Some of the other references that I've got. So I'm pulling from Isaiah 14:12 through 15, Ezekiel 28:11 through 19, Luke 10:18, And then you can also look into Revelation 12. But an important one that I want to address, so Luke 10:18, and I saw Satan fall like lightning. Okay, so that would establish that Christ was there during the fall, because being one of within the Trinity, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So referencing Christ being the Word, which is there's that thing there. It's kind of weird. There's that word, but either way. So you have I want to address Satan, Lucifer, morning star, whatever word he is referenced as in scripture. You've got this idiot that thinks that he can be greater, or wants to be greater than the creator of all things. The hubris is mind blowing. But in his arrogance and his stupidity, this idiot thinks that he can rise above the King of all kings. Have you lost your mind? But we wouldn't have a story if this didn't happen. We wouldn't be born in sin if this did not take place. And being that he is the creator of all things, he knew this would transpire. So you have this war in heaven, and Satan takes a third of the angels with him in his stupidity, and they are kicked out of heaven. Now, keeping in mind outside of time and space, but I think this. No, I don't think this will come into play later. Okay, so you got this war in heaven. You got Satan getting yeeted out of heaven. Okay, so now we've kind of established that. So let's going back to creation. Okay, so in the beginning, God creates the heavens and the earth. He says, "Let there be light," and there's this flash, and now there is light. He said, "I'm going to call the light day, and the darkness I'm going to call night." Now notice how he calls it. When you're reading in Genesis, it doesn't say, and then the light became day and the dark became night. No, he called it, which is interesting because we're getting into he is vocalizing a thing that is happening. That's really stinking cool. So those are some of those threads that you're going to see that I talked about before, sprinkled throughout Scripture. He said, "Before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. I called you by name." Really stinking cool. Okay, so that's the first day, right? So the evening and the morning were the first day. Okay, so then God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the water. Let it divide the waters from the waters." Okay, that's interesting, because the surface of the earth is formless and shapeless. Void and darkness was on the face of the deep. The Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. He said, "Let's separate the waters from our oceans, our lakes, our rivers." Huh. Okay. The waters were above the firmament. Interesting. So he called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. All right, so now we're at day 2. Okay. All right, so God said, going back to vocalizing a thing, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together in one place, and let the dry land appear." Okay, so now we're starting to get mountains, plains. Now he's creating, as I said it before, the artist. An artist. As he made the trees, and we see the beautiful canyons and these gorgeous mountains, Kilimanjaro, K2. these volcanoes, these gorgeous things. It's just it's incredible because he's painting. And so God he calls that he called dry land earth. And then the gathering togethers of the waters he called seas. And he saw that it was good. God looks at the painting, this really groovy spinning ball of dirt that we're on. It's good. I like that. Then he says, we're chilling at day 3, right? So then he said, "Let the earth bring forth grass." Bring forth grass. Now, I told you different references, so I'm actually working out of New King James, so I'm using different terminologies. But whatever, if you're reading this with me as I'm going through this, by all means. So I'm going through New King James because old school. I like the way it reads. But so he says, "I want the earth to bring grass, the herb that yields seeds, and the fruit trees that yield fruit." So he's creating these trees that serve a purpose. Each thing has a purpose. So the earth gave grass. He makes everything. Now we're getting into our our fauna, our animals, those haven't hit the scene yet. Right now he's just setting the groundwork. He's laying the foundation. He saw it and he saw that it was good. Okay. So that's the third day. I apologize. I got ahead of myself. I get excited. Okay. Judge me. Get excited. So that's the third day. Okay. So now we're getting into our stars. So then God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night." So here's our sun, here's our stars. "And let them be for signs and seasons and for days and years." So now he's starting to set what we would our clock, right? Our standard, hey, this is what is giving us our day night cycle. The things that we have a reference point to. Understanding that he hasn't created us yet. He hasn't created people yet, but he's setting things up. He's being the master storyteller. He's planting those seeds. And which is funny because anyways, I digress. So he said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night." So we talked about that. "And then let them be for signs and seasons, for days and years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth." It was so. God made 2 great lights, so sun and moon. The sun to rule the day, moon the night. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light on the earth, rule the day and night. Well, what did he do? He saw that it was good. So the evening and the morning, they're the 4th day. Okay, so now we're sitting on 4, right? Okay, now we're starting to get into our creepy crawlies, our birds. God said, he said. Okay, there's that word again. He's speaking things. He spoke things into existence. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creatures according to its kind, or cattle and creeping things, beasts of the earth, each according to their kind." It was so. God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, cattle, and so on and so forth. And God saw what? That it was good. Here we go. Then God said, and this is the part that I still geek out about. I mean, obviously, I'm geeking out right now, but it said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness." I want you to think. I want just pause there for a second. Let's hang out here for a second. The Creator of all things. Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. He made us. So going back to the ultimate teacher and pick an ultimate. When we paint a painting, take a picture, make music, the language of the heart, it's a mirror of him. That's something. That's wow. And then, not to get too far ahead of myself, but created us to have a relationship with him. That's incredible. Sit and think about that for a second. That's amazing. Okay. They said, let him have dominion over the fish of the sea. Let him have dominion over the. God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created a male and female. He created them. God blessed them. And he said, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Have dominion over the fish in the sea and birds of the air and every living thing on the earth. And it goes down into so right now I'm still I'm still in chapter 1. I said this, but take a look at Genesis 1:29. God said, "See, I have given you every herb that yields seed, which is on the face of the earth, and every tree whose fruit yields seed. Every fruit that gives you seed, and it shall be for your food. Also, to every beast of the earth, every bird of the air, and every thing that creeps on the earth, which there is life, I have given green herb for food." And it was so. Then God saw everything that he had made, and indeed, indeed, it was very good. And see, here's what's kind of cool. Notice how, up until this point, the verbiage, it says, and it was good. He saw that it was good. It was good. It was good. But then we get into the back end of day 6, and it was, indeed, it was very. He's sitting there going, yeah, okay. I like that. I like that. The evening and the morning were the 6th day. Now, this is on the very back end of, so I'm at chapter 1, verse 31. And then it goes on to say, and again, I don't want to get too far ahead of us, but back end of it, on the 7th day he rested. So we've set our stage. In the beginning, God said, "Let there be light," and bang, there it was. Creates all the things. Creates the seas, the mountains, trees, painting. Creates humans, creates animals. We're going to pause there. Because then when we get into the next part, we start to see is the story. Right now, everything's with the exception of the fall of Satan, so we'll call it the first fall. Up until this point, everything's doing good. Then you start to see things kind of go sideways. But being outside of time and space, he's got that plan. And we're going to see how that plays out. So, appreciate you hanging out. Next time we're gonna get into the ball's gonna start rolling. We're gonna start to see some stuff. And later, Adam's gonna have some splaining. I appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out. I'm Bionic Leg. Thanks for hanging out in the Gravel Gospel. Peace.